Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. Back on May 7th's Crime Report, I told you about the horrific triple murder committed by Nathan Gingles in Ron DeSantis' Florida. This man killed his wife's father, then he walked after her when she fled the house. He was just walking like Jason Voorhees, pursuing her as she ran from house to house trying to escape. Meanwhile, their 4-year-old daughter was running behind him while he went about his gruesome slaughter spree. Nathan Gingles would kill his wife, as well as a neighbor who had tried to help her. And where were the thugs in blue? Oh, well, you know where the heroes were at. They were right there on the scene, making sure— oh, no, of course not. They were hiding literally a block over, away from the danger, waiting for backup. Half the freaking sheriff's department just sitting back, waiting for backup.
But as you can see, a couple units bypassed the residency and took a staging position per the sergeant's instruction and decided to rally out there. That's not within policy, that's not within procedures, that's not what we train.
So he told them to park across the street there?
He gave orders to the training car to find a position to rally, correct.
Whereas they should have gone straight to the house?
They should have went straight to the house. There is some level of liability on the sergeant's position for some of the orders he gave, and that's why he is gone. In addition to comments that he made in his own internal affairs investigations, were indicated to us and his troops that he was absolutely a coward. Ain't another way to put it. I talk all the time in this profession. I can train you, I can supply you, I can give you all the tools to be successful. What I can't coach is courage and effort. And if you're going to sign up for this profession, you better make sure you have both of those first, or don't join this profession. That's not just BSO, that's not just Broward County, that's every officer in this country right now. Because this stuff keeps happening. And it has nothing to do, at times, with whether or not people are prepared. In any profession, you get bad apples. You get some reporters that aren't not as good and not doing their job and just hoping to get their check and not perform. We can't afford that in this profession. People die. We had every opportunity to save that woman's life. There wasn't much we could have done for her father. In these active shooter events, two-pronged things take place, an ambush and stalking. You just seen both of them.
Of course they didn't try to help. Those guys are not about public safety, they never have been. They're just a taxpayer-funded street gang. That's how they operate. They're just looking out for themselves. And it wasn't just the sergeant who was a coward, they all are. All they know how to do is to gun down unarmed black citizens and lie about what it is that they claim to be doing for the public. They hear someone's got a gun and they run and hide. These are a bunch of cowards who want to strut around and act tough, but as soon as there's some danger, they show exactly what they really are. Now, this all happened 8 months ago, and since then, there's been a major development in the Broward Sheriff's Department.
I had to come in and clean up Stoneman Douglas mess, and I seen the impact of moving too fast in these investigations, are pushing too hard on an investigation, and men and women who I fired, that Scott Israel didn't fire, that I fired, was afforded an opportunity to come back in arbitration. So we are very delicate right now with this, because I don't want— one second, I don't want any one of these people we terminate to come back here over some mishap in an investigation or something that we didn't do. So that's why it took the 2,000 plus hours to get it right. Go ahead.
Now, you probably didn't hear about this, did you? You got the sheriff there, and he's giving a public tongue lashing to some former members of his department. But the white media kept this as a middle-of-the-page story. They didn't make it front-page news like it should have been. And you know what else we haven't heard? That the police do a dangerous job. Haven't heard that at all. We haven't heard anyone saying that in relation to this case. Not the authorities, not the politicians, not the white media. Nobody's saying, well, you can't go firing these guys. I mean, this is going to make the police reluctant to do their jobs. Nobody's saying that. Not in this case. When the police do something wrong and white people get harmed, all of a sudden there's no sympathy. Only judgment. But that only happens under specific circumstances. A white person has to get hurt in order for them to decide, well, we can't cover for the cops on this one. This is a sheriff who's telling the public that he went as diligently as possible because he not only wanted to throw these guys out of his department, he wanted to do it in a way where they wouldn't be able to weasel their way back in. No blue wall on this one. Nobody's saying, well, we have to keep this one internal. We don't want to undermine the public's trust in law enforcement. And nothing from the police unions either. They're not sticking up for their members. Oh, as far as they're concerned, they're just going to hang back on this one, right? The people who use these lies and deflections, they know what they're really defending is killing black people. These are racially based talking points, and the people who use them, they know it. That's the entire point. So you can excoriate the police, call them cowards, do it publicly, and those same white people who say back the badge, etc., will turn right around and say F the police. Because that's what's happening. They're congratulating this sheriff now and saying that the punishment, if anything, needs to be harsher than that. But in the meanwhile, you're doing a great job. They need to be gone. The public needs to be assured that there's going to be people with some courage in the department and not a bunch of cowards. This guy gave the white media a list of policy violations, by the way. He wanted to make sure that people saw what these guys did wrong. No excuses. Nobody talking about this is a training issue. Nobody's saying, well, you can't make it. They got to go back for some more training. Nah, no training on this one. So now all of a sudden giving a tongue lashing to the thugs in blue isn't a crime. It's not a problem now. No pushback from the politicians or the press. Because this is what happens when white people are harmed. That's the only reason that this occurred. And there's no need to ask if there's going to be any legislation in regards to this, because this woman had been begging the police to do something about this guy. She'd been telling her friends and family that she knew that this guy was going to kill her, and that's exactly what happened. And it didn't have to happen, but the police decided they were more interested in saving their own hides than they were in saving this woman's life. Not that we needed anybody to convince us, but nobody's going to be able to come up to us, especially not in Ron DeSantis' Florida, and tell us you got to back the badge. The police do a dangerous job. Oh, just because somebody got killed and the cops could have done something about it, you can't fire them for that. These cops do a dangerous job, don't you know? No, they fired these guys en masse. And when the sheriff is publicly saying that the sergeant who was involved was a coward, that's to make sure that this guy doesn't land somewhere else. At the very least, he's trying to make sure that wherever he goes, he's going to be looked at as tainted goods. And no, I don't want anyone trying to tell me that, well, it's because this was a black sheriff in this case. Keep in mind, these black police chiefs and black sheriffs, they cover up for and cover the killings of black people, and they don't even bat an eyelash. They don't do any sort of department-wide comprehensive investigation to try to root out any bad apples, which, by the way, happens to be the entire department. They don't do that any more than their white counterparts do. They're playing the game. And as a result, they're also openly helping these white supremacists to be able to play with black people's lives. There's no way in the world that this should not be the case every time that there's a police-involved shooting. If the only time this guy gets a full head of steam is because there's a big scandal after a white woman and her father and a neighbor have been killed, and of course you got the video of the 4-year-old toddler who is running behind her father as he's committing this mass murder, gunning down 3 people, including her own mother. This is the result of police having this blue wall, all of the lies that have been told. Every time you had some political prostitute calling himself a politician who decided that there was nothing he could do, no laws that could be passed, certainly not going to say the police need more than just training, they need punishment for all of their skullduggery and corruption. Every time you have some white media personality who's the first one to say, well, we need to wait till all the facts come out. Well, we can't be giving the police a black eye no matter what they've done. They were the ones who enabled this to happen. Everyone knows that there's a culture of corruption in every single police department, and it's not just 1 or 2 bad apples, it's the entire organization. All of them. But there's also a culture of complicity when it comes to the politicians and the white media. That's the reason why the cops act the way that they do. They know that these people are going to cover for them because crooked cops will not actually do anything about crooked politicians. They'll go ahead and let these guys do whatever crap they want to do. All of the money laundering, sexual harassment, sometimes worse than that. Corruption protects corruption. Now, I'd like to know who's going to lead the comprehensive months-long investigation to root out that particular problem. So he can miss me with all of that tough talk about, I can give you training, but what we can't give you is courage. They don't screen for courage. When these police departments and sheriff's departments carry out their hiring and interview processes, they don't care about courage. So many of these police and sheriff's departments, all that matters is if you got some sort of relative or other that happens to already be in the department, that's your fastest and surest way to get in. It's not about character. And it's certainly not about courage at all. What they're actually screening for is to find out whether or not you're going to make a nice addition to the blue wall. The triple murder that took place was terrible, but the real tragedy happens to be that it was allowed to happen. Just like I document for you on all of my crime reports, in most cases, these perpetrators are already known in advance to the authorities, but nothing ever seems to get done depending on what color they are. And then when they go and commit some ghastly act, then afterwards everybody acts shocked and surprised. As we've seen in so many of these cases, from Columbine to Marjorie Stoneman, which took place in Florida, to Uvalde, the police are always hiding and waiting for it to be safe before they act whenever these incidents occur. This triple murder, that's the price of the lies that the white media has told, and the lies that it's allowed these politicians and law enforcement administrators to get away with. If these departments really want to prevent this kind of cowardice from happening in the future, here's a suggestion. Eliminate the old boy network that allows people to get hired in law enforcement based on who they know. Regularly check their communications from radio chatter to social media. But the most important change would have to be changing the culture of these police and sheriff's departments. These guys didn't just become the Keystone Cops that night. That stunt they pulled where they decided, yeah, we know what we're supposed to do, but we're just going to hang back and we're all going to have a law party while we wait for more backup to show up. They didn't just do that on a lark. That's what they've been doing all along. These guys didn't become cowards that night. The reason that only one unit bothered to actually go to the scene of the massacre while everybody else hung back is because that's how their department actually works. Training be damned, they just let them do whatever they want to do, and this is the result. Yes, it was cowardice on all their parts, obviously, but it was also the understanding that there's an entire apparatus that protects cowards with badges, and that under white supremacy they won't get fired, but even if they do, it doesn't matter. It's not a firing, it's just a transfer. No matter how angry the police chief or even the mayor may be in instances like this, these dirty cops already know in advance, and everybody else knows too, that all these guys got to do is just go to a neighboring city or neighboring county, and they'll immediately be hired. Just like they were hired in Broward County without anybody actually asking, do these people have any sort of courage or character for this kind of job? Courage and character are exactly what police departments don't want, because individuals who have courage, they're going to be standing up to dirty cops, and individuals who have character will also have the nerve to let the public know exactly what's going on in these departments and who it is who's the problem. When you see dirty cops routinely committing murders and they're allowed to get away with it, nobody tries to remove them from the force for that kind of thing, then how much should any of them care if they just sit back while a murder is being committed? It's about the same thing. Hey, if they let me get away with committing murder, then surely they wouldn't have a problem with me sitting back while a murder is being committed, because hey, it's not like I pulled the trigger on them. I just got to look out for myself is all. See, that's what was going through their minds. That was the mental calculus that all of these cops perform. So no, I am not at all impressed that Sheriff What's-His-Name decided to actually do his job, because that's what happened in this case. That seems to be what he wants. He wants special credit for that. He wants a pat on the back for it. If he was actually an administrator who was deserving of honor, then what would happen is he would be saying, you know what, this incident proves to me that we got a hell of a lot of bad apples in this department. It's time to start reviewing people's service records. There needs to be an entire department-wide investigation of these guys. Because that kind of behavior, what that means is all of them were in it together. All of them were going to stick together. All of them were going to be saying, well, we were staging and just getting ready to find out who was going to be leading us into battle. Oh, and just for the record, these are the kind of cowards that Joe Biden decided to funnel COVID-19 money to. When he became president, well, we got to back the boys in blue. Yeah, and this is what they're backing. They're rewarding them for their corruption and cowardice. And what that teaches them is, yeah, we're still getting a wink and a nod. Well, in this case, they made a mistake. They decided that they were going to be playing cowards when white lives were at stake, and those are lives that actually matter in this society, so that's the reason why these guys got punished. It just goes to show that no matter what the police or their cheerleaders in the political or media arenas may try to say, police do not have the most dangerous occupation in America. As this tragedy illustrates, the person with the most dangerous job is the one whose life depends on the police doing theirs. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: John Harvin, Morris Bodden, Michael Gilmore, Sankofa Falami, and William Ross. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.